So I wanted to talk about this today, not because I think this is going to happen. That is not the realm I want to go into. However, I think it is a valid discussion to talk about, considering that this player that we're talking about might actually get a little bit of an extended role with the team that he's on, as well as the whole competition that's going on for this trophy in the NHL today. Does Nick Suzuki have a chance at winning the Calder Trophy this year? And that is a loaded question, and I think everybody's immediate answer upon first listening to me saying that is no. Suzuki is not going to win the Calder because Cale Makar exists. Suzuki is not going to win the Calder because Quinn Hughes exists. Suzuki is not going to win the Calder because Victor Olofsson and Mikheyev are two players who exist as well. But the fact of the matter is here, Nick Suzuki has a good opportunity to really make himself a little bit more valuable to the Montreal Canadiens in the next few weeks than he has been throughout the first little bit of this season here. Nick Suzuki is currently tied for 6th in rookie NHL points with 10. He has 6 goals and 4 assists in 22 games played. He has the same amount of points, goals, and assists as Kaapo Kakko does, but in 5 more games. Kirby Dach is tied with him, as well as Jack Hughes from the New Jersey Devils. You may have heard of the guy, I don't know if you did, but Suzuki is tied with Kakko, Dach, and Hughes for rookie points. And that's honestly a pretty interesting little list right there. The first 3 picks in the 2019 draft are all tied with Nick Suzuki at the moment, although Suzuki has the most games played out of all of them. Above them are Ilya Mikheyev with 14 points in 24 games from Toronto, Martin Necas from the Carolina Hurricanes. He's getting a lot of points, 15 in 22 games. Victor Olofsson has 16 points. Quinn Hughes has 17 points. And Cale freaking Makar is at 25 points in 22 games. Cale Makar almost has double the amount of assists that Nick Suzuki has points, which is absolutely nuts. Cale Makar is probably going to win the Calder this year, and he's doing really well. But we're not talking about Cale Makar here, we're talking about Suzuki. Does Suzuki have a chance of winning the Calder this year? Well, it's really going to depend. If Suzuki wins the Calder this year, a few things need to go right in order for that to happen. First off, Suzuki needs to absolutely go ballistic. Right now, he's on pace for about 40-ish points in the NHL, which is not bad at all for a first-year rookie in the NHL coming into the new league and being on a team that is really stacked winger-wise like the Montreal Canadiens. He's on pace for about 22-ish goals and 40-ish points, and that would honestly be crazy. But if he wants to win the Calder, he's gonna need to get a little bit more than that. Upwards of 60, 65 points is what Nick Suzuki should probably be going for if he wants to win that Calder Trophy. Taking a look at the recent Calder winners, Elias Pettersson got the Calder last year with 66 points in 71 games played. That's a pretty good number, but he didn't play the full season. Then going over to the guy who won it the year before, it pains me to say it, but it's Mathew Barzal. I love my Vancouver Lower Mainland boys, but the fact that he beat Besser for the Calder is infuriating. He got 85 points in 82 games. He was over a point per game in his rookie season, which was crazy. Like, playing with Tavares, playing with Lee, playing with Bailey, the guy was an absolute monster on the Islanders in his rookie year. So if Nick Suzuki is going to want to approach that Calder territory, I think minimum he's got to hit at least 60 points. In a class that has Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, Makar honestly has the potential to get 70 points in the year. And that's kind of undervaluing him because he's over a point per game right now, and he's doing such an amazing job with the Avalanche. Quinn Hughes is a player who will probably become the best Canucks rookie defenseman ever, and the best Canucks defenseman in a long time, and he's probably not going to be even close to winning the Calder this year. Jack Hughes is in a position where he's at half a point a game. He's not doing too hot right now. Kaapo Kakko is kind of in the same boat. Cale Makar is the biggest competitor here. To me, it's Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, because these two D-men are so good offensively, and they provide the numbers that anybody who's voting for the Calder is going to be looking at that and saying, damn, that guy got 70 points, and he's a defenseman. My vote's going to him. Last year, Rasmus Dahlin found himself in the top 3 of Calder voting, and he had 44 points. Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes are going to blow past 44 points on the current pace that they're on. So there's nothing that says that Quinn Hughes and Cale Makar won't be in the Calder discussion. In fact, in my opinion, they're going to be leading it. So if Nick Suzuki wants to come in and break that, he's really going to need to produce at a great rate. Minimum 65 points. Now, do I think he's going to be able to get that? Well, it depends. Drouin's going to be out for a while, and a few other guys are going to have some time off as well. If Nick Suzuki can really find himself a spot in the top 6 where he truly belongs and where he truly meshes with the guys up there, then who knows what could happen. The Canadiens are one of the highest scoring NHL teams in the league this year. So if Nick Suzuki can find himself into that spot and fix himself in what is one of the best offensive teams, I think he's got a really good shot of potentially hitting maybe even 70 points. But again, it'll have to do with the deployment. It'll have to do with where he is in the lineup, and it'll have to do with how much Julien trusts Nick Suzuki. And based off of everything that I've seen, he's been trusting Suzuki a little bit more and more ever since the preseason ended. We saw Nick Suzuki with that really good pass over to Tatar to tie up one of the games recently. The fact that you have Nick Suzuki out there on the 6-on-5 where your team is down by 1 just shows that this is a player that can tango with the best that the Habs have to offer. And it wouldn't surprise me if Suzuki just got better as the year went on, because he did that in the OHL too. Last year, playing for the Owen Sound Attack, he had 45 points in 30 games, but then he got traded. He went over to the Guelph Storm, posted up 49 points in 29 games that year. He was really, really gosh darn good for the Storm. And then in the playoffs, he had 42 points in 24 games. The guy was absolutely ballistic, and he got better as the year went on. His foot speed increased, his offensive IQ, it seemed to have gotten better. And if Nick Suzuki can do that in the NHL, then I think he's got a really good chance towards getting that 60-point mark, 65, maybe even 70. And if he does that, then he's got a really good chance of being in that final 3. And at the same time, though, Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes, they need to slow down. They really need to slow down if Nick Suzuki is going to have a slim chance of hope towards winning that Calder Trophy. Do I want that to happen? No, I'm a Canucks fan. I want Quinn Hughes to win the Calder. I wanted Brock Besser to win the Calder. I wanted to have 3 straight Calder winners on the Vancouver Canucks, and that would have been really good for me. But Besser didn't win, and Quinn Hughes, the way things are going right now, he's going to lose it to Makar. But really, Cale Makar is just the biggest guy to me. He is the #1 competitor for this Calder Trophy. As for the other guys, Ilya Mikheyev and Victor Olofsson, I don't necessarily see these two really sustaining their production. I know Olofsson's at 16 points in 22 games. Mikheyev's at 14 and 24 on a bad Leafs team. But I don't see these guys maxing out over 35, 40-ish points. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Leafs got better, but I don't see Mikheyev getting 35 points. Same with Olofsson. I think they just got off to really hot starts. We've seen that a lot with rookies throughout the NHL in the past, and they don't have the lasting power, to me, as a Nick Suzuki or a Kaapo Kakko or a Kirby Dach or a Jack Hughes has. Do I see Hughes, Jack Hughes, by the way, coming up and totally taking the Calder conversation? Maybe. The guy still has a lot of potential, but he got off to a little bit of a slow start. Same with Kaapo Kakko. These two guys, I wouldn't be surprised if they came out of nowhere and just started going ballistic on the league. But as of right now, it's Cale Makar and Quinn Hughes that are the biggest competition. Nick Suzuki is in that realm of a Kaapo Kakko and a Hughes, where I can see them getting better as the year goes on, finishing off the year with 60-plus points. But again, a lot needs to happen in order for the Montreal Canadiens to get their first Calder winner since Ken Dryden back in the 70s. Hope you enjoyed this video, Social Life Trolls 99, and bye.